Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been playing Valorant for any amount of time, you have realized just how dominant a good CYPHER can be. CYPHER has such a powerful kit that if you can master it, you can carry your teammates incredibly easy. All that being said, let's break down all the top CYPHER tips so that you can guaranteed have more impact in your ranked games and start to climb. If you want to improve at Valorant, or if you just love Valorant content, do us a big favor here at GameLeap and smash that subscribe button. But all that being said, let's just jump right into it, shall we? Now, the first thing that we need to talk about is CYPHER's bread and butter ability, his camera. Now, the thing is, you're probably using camera wrong. Good camera use can allow you to rotate quicker as a team, get valuable intel, and make plays on the enemy, but bad camera use will just instantly go on cooldown because it gets destroyed. Let's run through things that you need to start doing right now. So the first thing that you need to understand is when you set up a camera in a position, you don't have to always be in your camera. You want to be using it in moments to gather information quickly, not just permanently staying in your camera's view. This makes it incredibly easy for enemies to see it, shoot it, and actually shut it down to where they could essentially kill it and then rotate and you wouldn't even know. You want to make sure that you're only using it for small periods of time to gather that information when you need. Secondly, this is an extremely important one. You need to be mixing up your camera spots. If you consistently put your camera in the exact same spot, maybe it's the perfect spot, maybe it's your favorite spot, but it doesn't matter if enemies know where it is, they know where to look out for, they're already ready to destroy it. They could actually pre-fire or just actually have their crosshair close to it to where they shut it down right away the second you peek from it. This is not what you want to have happen. You need to be mixing up your camera spots often, make it so it's hard for enemies to find out exactly where they're being scouted from. Now, as an additional importance about cameras, this is something that's really important that you need to stop doing in your games, is stop tagging every single person you see always. If you know where enemies are because of your camera and they're routing or trying to sneak to a point, right? Relaying that information to your team through your camera can be extremely effective because the enemy thinks, hey, no one knows we're here, but in reality, everyone knows they're there. But if you tag them, sure, you might get a little bit more information, but if you're not in a position to capitalize on that, it doesn't actually matter. And the enemies now know, hey, they tagged me with a camera. Hey, they know we're here. Now they're going to be playing fundamentally different instead of you using the surprise factor and the fact that you know about their positioning against them. Now, last but certainly not least, this is the way you can use camera to actually get some kills, and everyone wants to get kills, right? So the tip here is you put your camera somewhere on the high ground, and as an enemy swings around, you activate your camera and you instantly deactivate it and then swing yourself. The reason you do this is because enemies will have their crosshair about head level, right? That's where everyone wants to have their crosshair at, so they can flick and hit the headshot on you. But if you instantly activate your camera, you're around the corner, but you activate your camera, they're gonna flick up to kill your camera. And the second that that happens, you swing back and try to kill them, and they're going to try to react to that, but their crosshair placement's all out of whack. It could be a way to actually get a kill really quickly and a way to actually turn your camera into a kill, which is always cool. Everyone loves that. Now, let's move on to the abilities of CYPHER and talk about ways that you can get more impact out of every one of your abilities. So the first thing, as an actual tip that you might not know, on Bind in particular, you can use your cyber cage to permanently open the teleporters. You can make the teleporter doors permanently stay open so no one can cap in there. Pretty cool, huh? Now, another thing about cypher cage is you should almost always combo this ability with TRAPWIRE, because if someone walks into TRAPWIRE, they can flick and destroy it, or they could just wait for you to try to peek them and kill you. But the cool thing about TRAPWIRE and cypher cage together is they activate the TRAPWIRE, then you activate the cypher cage, and now they can't see anything outside of the cage, so they have no field of vision. Then they're trapped and triggered, so they have to destroy the trap, but they can't really see it very well. On top of that, you could perfectly see where they are. They're basically just like, you know, a rat in a cage. You get perfect information, you can easily kill them. It almost is a guaranteed kill at that point, and their teammates can't easily push through the actual cyber cage to protect them or to trade out. It really sets up for these really one-sided free picks, so I would highly suggest, if you're using it to try to kill the enemy, to set up a play to actually kill the enemy, combo them both together, put a cypher cage always on top of your TRAPWIRE. Now, moving on to just using abilities in general, while pushing a sight, sometimes you're incentivized to want to use your TRAPWIREs to stop your flanks. You know, it can be appealing to try to, you know, get that information or potentially trigger someone so you know, hey, there's someone on our flank, there's someone pushing down behind us, or things like that. But keep in mind that if you use all your traps and all your cypher cages early, then when you get on the point, you don't have any to use, which is where they're the most powerful. If you can go and plant a spike and your team is defending multiple sides, being able to use those trapwires to stop swing pushes, gain information, potentially block off a whole access or lane for the enemies to push from, that can be so much value that can almost set up these unfair advantages again. Cypher is the king of setting up these unfair advantages, these unfair trap plays and informational advantages, so you definitely need to think about that and maybe don't burst all of your trap wires in your spawn, you know, trying to tell you where a flank is happening, because if you're on point, you can't even follow up on that in the first place. It's far better, in my opinion, to sandbag some of those abilities to where when you plant, you actually have abilities that you can use to set up a better defensive position. Now, a really quick tip about trapwire in general, please do not place your trapwire too high or too low, because you don't want enemies to be able to jump over it or duck under it, especially if you're just using it for information, right? Because really crafty enemies will purposely not destroy your trapwire, because in your mind, you'll think, hey, no one can come from this angle because my trapwire is not broken. But if they jumped over it or ducked under it, now you can actually get killed from an angle that you thought was protected. So do yourself a favor and put them perfectly at the level to where it's really hard for them to get over it without actually destroying it. Now, lastly, we got to talk about sight holding on Cypher, and this might be the most important aspect of Cypher altogether that many people are getting wrong. Here's the important thing to do on defense, in particular with Cypher. You need to be mixing up where you're holding. Keep this in mind. As Cypher, we talked about how many unfair advantages you could set up. Enemies are afraid of that. They're scared to death of a Cypher, especially when they're pushing into him, because they block off LOS, you know, they bait out utility, but then they run onto site and they get trapped, they get slow caged and killed. They do not want that to happen, so you need to keep in mind, you're the threat, right? If you are consistent where you play, right? One, enemies will use utility to clear out your traps, which means they're going to get less value. They might just get destroyed. And two, they might be extremely cautious to where they slow walk, they actually find your traps and kill them, and they don't get that much value. Or three, they might just avoid the point you're holding altogether, because why would they push into a Cypher when they can just push onto some other characters that don't have your level of utility, and then you left some of your traps and your Cypher cages back at the point you were defending when you rotate, and you're not anywhere near as good at actually retaking as you are holding. So keep all these things in mind. As a Cypher player, you do not want the enemy to ever predict what you're doing. You want to mix it up. Maybe you're going to hold A for defense one time, then B, then mid. You mix it up, you mix it up. You become unpredictable to the point where enemies cannot read your habits, and then that is how you make sure that you consistently get value throughout the mid game once enemies have actually picked up on where you're pushing and where you're holding and things like that. But all that being said, if this video helped you at all, do me a huge favor and smash that subscribe button. If there's any tips or tricks that I missed, definitely let me know in the comments down below so that other people in the community can learn from your valuable insight. Anyways, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or if there's any video ideas you want, definitely let me know as well. But that's all we got for you today. I'm Coach Mills, and until next time.